What is going on, guys? Sebastian here, back with another video. So today we are working on the GLI. So what we are currently doing is warming up the car, and then we're gonna head over to the shop, and then we got some goodies, just a couple, nothing insane, and we're gonna reveal those once we get to the shop. You guys know the deal, okay? So we're gonna reveal those once we get to the shop. Once we get to the shop, we'll kind of go over everything, and I'll kind of try to give you guys a brief walkthrough of how to do it. So this is the Mk7 platform, Jetta 7.5, whatever you guys want to call it. This is a 2024. It's going to be the same from, I think, 2020 to the 2024s. So if you want to lower your car, spoiler alert, you'll be able to hopefully find some education in this video. With that being said, we are going to go ahead and let the car finish warming up, and then we're going to take off. All right, guys, we are back at the shop. We got the car in the air. We currently have the wheels off. Got them right here. The back wheels off, got the spacers off. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is show you what we're doing. So these are the springs. These are the NeuSpeeds. These are good springs right here for the money. This is a 1.5 inch drop, 1.5 in the front, 1.4 in the rear. So we have these guys right here. That's pretty cool. Also comes with some stickers, that way everybody knows that you got NeuSpeed Lowering springs. So, and then we also, secondly, we have the Jetta Gli Spacer, which I'm very excited about because this will give me more turbo noises. Does anybody more turbo noises? Right here is your diverter valve, right there where your bolts are. So essentially you'll undo those bolts, stick that spacer right there where that crack is at, and then put the diverter valve back on. So that's exciting. We're gonna get that done here. We got, again, the diverter valve spacer, the springs. What we have to go ahead and do, though, is we have to go ahead and disconnect everything. So because this car has dynamic chassis control, we need to disconnect the leveling sensor here and then the DCC system. Went ahead and unplugged the battery, that way it doesn't throw up too many faults. Even if it does throw up faults, we will use the computer to clear those. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get right into it. I don't think I'll be able to do a time lapse, so I'm gonna go ahead and get the fronts knocked out, get those out of there, and then we'll get back to it. We don't want to spend all day in the shop. We're gonna try and knock it out as fast as possible. All right, so we got one side off. I struggled a little bit because it's been a while since I lowered a vehicle. See, the axle comes out. You need a strut spreader, like I was saying. This is scary, so you want to strut spread this if you have a vise. If you're doing this in your driveway, just don't kill yourself while you do it. Find a way to hold this steady. And then you're gonna have to have a 21 to get this nut off here. And then you're gonna want a 7 to stop the actual, whatever the fuck that's called, from spinning. And you'll take the top hat off like this. And you'll take this guy off. Get that off. Then your spring will stay compressed. That's scary, isn't it? Now this is your strut. And then you'll basically put your new spring on that, compress it, reverse the process. So let's get to that. So when you put this back together here, compress your spring, make sure everything fits. Don't do that. Put this here. Put this piece back in here, like so. And you'll take your top hat. Make sure that your frickin' line lines up here. Don't put your shit on wrong, like I almost did. So this has to become, you wanna put that bolt on there? Oh, I got it. Okay. All right. That's all good. All right, well, so we got it all on. Took longer than I thought. According to my timer here, you can go and drop it. Took me 5 hours. I still gotta do an alignment just to make sure everything's all good. But I went ahead and put my 20 mil spacers up front, the 15 in the rear. Obviously, we're gonna have a 1.5 inch drop in the front and a 1.4 in the rear, but that won't fully settle in until about 1,000 miles. So it's gonna be kind of underwhelming here once it comes down. I mean, it already looks way better, but again, it's going to take a little bit for these to settle in because the springs have to kind of compress, but there's a lot less gap than there was. So give it some time. Rear looks good. Again, over the course of about 1,000 miles, it'll fully drop. I want to hold this real quick. So It'll take a while for them to settle in, but same thing with the rear here. It'll take a while. So me bouncing on it isn't going to do much. The car just has to, I mean, it's metal. The car has to kind of compress the springs the way it wants to. So ideally, once it compresses though, it should be right about here or so, but it looks better than it did. Less wheel gap. The front looks way better. Definitely looks more aggressive. So that's pretty cool. I dig it. What we're gonna go ahead and do now is a diverter valve spacer. I don't have a lot of time, so I'm just gonna go ahead and install it and then show you guys the sound clip. Again though, this right here is your turbo back here. Your diverter valve is this black piece right here. You'll disconnect this, take off your intake boot right here, and then you have a bolt here, a bolt on this side, and one underneath. If you drop it, it's gonna cost you some time, but essentially take this piece off, take that spacer, stick it on there with the longer bolts, and then bolt it back up. So we're gonna go ahead and put that in, and then we'll get to that point. All right guys, sorry for the choppiness, the cutting in and out. I guess you could say crappy transitions. So we got everything the way we want it. We have the car lowered in the front and in the rear. Again, these will settle in after about 1,000 miles or so. We also did get the diverter valve spacer in. You guys can see that little slit right there is where the diverter valve spacer, that is the spacer itself, and this is the diverter valve. For you first timers, it is a little difficult to get to. You are gonna drop the bottom bolt and maybe the top bolts here and there, but with a little bit of patience and some effort, you can do it just fine. As far as lowering goes, if you don't have a spring compressor, you're gonna need one. Otherwise, buy coilovers with the top hats. So other than that though, everything was pretty simple for the most part. I haven't lowered a car in about 2 years, so besides the Passat you guys seen, so kind of getting back into the groove of that, I guess you could say. Took me a second, took me actually about an hour and a half on one side, and then this passenger side here literally just flew right by because I knew what I was doing. With that being said, I'm overall pretty happy. This is the car. I did have to disconnect the battery. Again, if you do have this car, chances are you're gonna have to adapt the battery. If your car has this fuse here on the side, you're going to need to adapt it. So that is currently what I'm doing right now. I am using the scan tool to adapt to the battery. I'm gonna go ahead and just make sure all the codes are good to go. For those of you who don't want all the lights on your dash, spin the wheel all the way one way, spin it all the way the other way. It'll get rid of most of them, but you still will most likely have like a lane assist fault, which you'll have to get your battery adapted in order to get rid of that. So with that being said, a little bit of a walk around. This is my car. Can't wait for everything to settle in. Got a lot more planned for it. We're gonna get a real duck bill at some point. Clearly, obviously wash the car as well. We are gonna get roof racks eventually. And of course, these will all be in the future videos. So if you do like the car or you like my videos, feel free to give me a thumbs up. Turn those post notifications on. That way when I do more to the vehicle and I post YouTube videos, you guys will stay up to date and you'll be notified when those videos are posted. Or if you don't want to turn those on, follow me on Instagram at RealSeb. I post everything there before I post it on YouTube, kind of like a little clip, you could say. So we're gonna go ahead and adapt the battery, and then we'll get you guys a quick little sound clip of the spacer here. So it's not much of a stu-tu-tu, it's more of a like an actual blow off, which I'm okay with because eventually we're gonna be doing a blow off valve conversion, and that's probably what it's gonna sound like from everything I've seen and heard. So again, I'm gonna end the video here, but right after I end the video, you're gonna hear the sound clips. So with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Feel free to share it. Peace. Okay, here's a sound clip of the blow off for those of you who stuck around. Sounds way good.